Look to the camera. Hold on. Introduce yourself.
Okay, what are we saying?
Introduce yourselves and say you're watching Toasted.
Toasted.
Should you say the band name though, obviously? Yeah. Hello, this is Everything...
Take two.
Hello, this is Everything.
And you're watching Toasted.
Guys, welcome to Amsterdam.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
Congratulations, new album.
Yeah.
Very new.
You guys put a playlist on Spotify with all the songs you did in the last 10 years. The band exists 10 years. Congratulations on that as well. I've been going through it, of course, to find some Easter eggs and maybe some little jewels. And it struck me that, I mean, of all the genres that you guys use in your music that you're able to play, there's one thing that I couldn't find. An acoustic version of any song, basically.
We kind of do them sometimes for like live radio sessions and stuff, and there are videos of us doing that kind of thing a lot on Man Alive. We did it quite a lot in those days, when you have to be a bit more flexible and you just have to be able to get in the back of a car and go and perform in some way.
Or a lift
we
here.
were a bit,
we did one
on a lift here at Paradiso, yeah, that's true. We were remembering that. That was in like 2010. So yeah, we do it. We just didn't, I don't think we've ever released
Never
one.
recorded
I think
it in that way.
Maybe there was a B-side of Photoshop Hanson, there was an acoustic version on the vinyl B-side. I think that's the only time we've ever really tracked one though.
Yeah, maybe. But you're right. There's nothing on Spotify that is that format.
Could you write a song like that, just the guitar and voice, and put it on a record?
I don't know if we put it on a record like that. That's the thing. It might start out
Depends
like
in
that.
which way it manifests itself. I mean, we're very keen sometimes on like preserving the minimalism of things. Like there's a song on the new album called New Deep, and we didn't want to develop that into a more structured, traditionally arranged song, because we just thought the 4-bar idea was so lovely, and that was all we needed. And we with something like Tin as well, that didn't go far from the demo at all, and that's just one arpeggio and a kick drum and some voices, but
You never know. Like
we've never done the Neil Young thing.
Yeah, I mean, we did a cover
love
of.
to, though.
Well, you did the Pink Floyd thing now, I think, with especially with the New Deep. I think it is a very rock opera interlude-ish.
Yeah. We have talked. We covered Neil Young recently for Radio 1, and we really enjoyed playing that. And we did talk about. I mean, this will never happen, but we talked about doing an album which is kind of like more traditional, chordally, and in terms of instrument, acoustic guitar and all that stuff. It'll never happen, but
Why?
It might, but it's just good to aim for these things, and then we'll see what happens from there. But
Because I get the impression that you guys are really able musicians, so it must be hard to stop yourself from being too easy, or...
I think we just like things to be slightly off in a way, and maybe traditionally played chords on acoustic guitars. Sometimes it feels like we've. It's not
arcane
not
for us.
exciting
It's
enough.
not, but it's also increasingly attractive because we just never go there. And writing as a live band, we haven't really done for like 6 years now. It's all been kind of electronic based, and then unpacking it from there as a live band, and then reintroducing the electronics. And this, in a way, we've been working for the machines rather than the other way around for a long time now. And it would be nice to reverse that relationship, but I don't know if we'll ever do it. Really, I think that's modern life.
Who did the artwork for the album? I love it. It's beautiful.
Joe Mortimer at Studio Joe, who was very good. I mean, on this record in general, it's been very collaborative, really. I mean, with James, with Joe, with Holly Blakey, who made the video. It's felt more collaborative than ever, really.
It's the same people in the video that are on the picture, actually.
No, on the album cover, no, it's different people. But
We did talk about it being the same, but
Yeah, we
we
tried.
couldn't make it work logistically.
yeah, as I say, like in those 2 weeks before, well, in that sort of time period, it's just like, okay, we need this, it's all these deadlines, and you're like, but it's good, it forces us to move fast. But I think in the past we would have been very controlling about, well, we have to make the videos all ourselves, and we have to make the artwork, blah, 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 and now we're quite happy to be like, oh no, we trust this person, and we meet them, and we like their attitude, and we're quite happy for them to go and do something for us, with us.
Beautiful show you guys played in the Albert Hall in Manchester. Amazing videos, amazing footage I saw there. Actually, fans are really delighted by Thanks for Playing, Suffragette and Choice Mountain. I always hope to see them live. And that made me think, are there actually tracks that you rarely play live?
Yeah, there are.
Those two don't get a huge amount of airing these days. I mean, Suffragette was a song that we played at every gig for about 8 years. And then we were quite happy to let it go on Get to Heaven. And we have played it a few times since. But actually, that song feels like it's by a different band now. Like we feel like we're playing a cover version when we play it. It doesn't mean that we do a bad cover version necessarily, but it does feel like it's the work of younger people, different people actually, which is strange. But that's kind of the only one that feels like that. Partly because it was such a, I don't want to say albatross because it was never a hit or anything like that, but it was just the oldest song. It was literally at our first gig at Night and Day in 2007, and we've played it ever since. It's the only song that was carried through every show for so long. So I think we got kind of tired of it.
So how would you describe the difference in music and style from that period compared to what you do now?
I think there's it was much more about the playing really, and kind of fireworks within the performances rather than within the songs. Because we didn't really have that skill set at that point. But what we could do is play really fast and tight and loud and do this sort of 3-part harmony stuff.
So the arrangements were sort of made to show that off, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're quite happy for it to be maybe a loop and something that develops slowly, or so it's just I don't know if I'd say matured, but it's just evolved a bit, and I'm glad it's I think if we were still playing quite fast punky stuff now, it wouldn't maybe feel as honest to us for whatever reason,
But then we also had songs from that era like Tin and NASA is on Your Side and Weights, which were quite kind of expansive. And I'm glad that we set out the stall the way we did on Man Alive, because it's given us a career really, because it gave us so many different places to go, and it gave us so much license because it was such a broad album. And I think we're still enjoying this. It's bedrock, if you know what I mean. I think it's held us up.
How many songs did you guys actually write for this album? Is it like you put every song you had on this album, or did you have to kick out a couple?
Down over time, we probably had a lot more than I remember. It's probably around 20 or something, isn't it? It's depending on how you define the song.
Yeah, because sometimes we leave songs where we go, okay, this probably isn't going to work. Or maybe it's not right for the album, or we just don't think it's good enough. So we might leave them half finished and move on. But this had our sort of hit rate on this album was pretty good. I mean, I think we're better at writing now. And Get to Heaven, there was a lot of songs that never made it. We wrote a lot of songs, and obviously there's only so many on the record, but that's because we had the first 6 months of writing that. It was a bit of a struggle, and we weren't sure what we were doing. And whereas this one, we knew what we were doing, and we could be a bit more focused from the outset, rather than sort of lurching from one thing to the next and then going, oh, actually, we're not doing that. We're going to make this album. And then we had to sort of not start again, but we had to readjust, recalibrate it, I suppose.
I guess, I mean, if you read the reactions online, a lot of people were, expecting a lot, actually. Because a lot of people were also thinking, like, they will never live up to what we think they should make. Somebody reacting to the post, like, I couldn't agree more, I was expecting a bad album, but then I pushed play, and the first 3 songs are like, not this time, bro.
Well, there you go. That's good.
But was that pressure also for you guys yourself? I mean, of course you want to do the best you can.
We'd started the writing while touring Get to Heaven, so I kind of knew that the quality was quite high already. I wasn't that worried. Whereas on Get to Heaven, I didn't even have the opportunity to worry until we'd come off the road after ARG, which is always kind of a brutal experience anyway. A year and a half of solid touring, and then suddenly you're at home and you're not on tour, and you've got an album to write, and there's this big blank canvas in front of you, and it took us a long time to kind of work, as Mike was saying, work back up to the standard that we wanted to be at. So because we were conscious of that this time, we just gave ourselves a head start, and the stuff that John and Alex were kind of developing on the road immediately gave us confidence. So I don't think we felt that much pressure. I think the crisis moment came before Get to Heaven, really, and making it. And we got that album out, and thank God people liked it, and I think it's a great record. So that gave us the confidence that we're still that kind of riding that wave now. Making the album was a crisis point, yeah, but we got through that, and because we got through that, we're still we're fine now.
You definitely can say that. Hey, of course, we've been going through the lyrics, because I know you guys have great lyrics. The first thing that struck me is all the lyrics are written from the me or the I perspective.
Yeah, Yes.
Very self-centered. Yeah, that's true actually.
It is more of a personal record than a global record. Get to Heaven's very much a macro sort of what is going on in the world, rather than this one is how do I feel about it? How do we feel about it as a society, as a country, as a human race? You know. So I think even though John's saying I a lot, it's not necessarily him. It's different people. It's characters in his imagination, or it's more than one person. You know. But yeah, I hadn't actually thought about that. That's interesting. Yeah.
Opening track, Night of the Long Knives. Kind of eerie opener, I think.
Yeah.
Does it feel like that? I mean, is it? How should I say this? Talking or discussing the whole political situation where massive shit is going down in an unforeseeable time.
Yeah. And Brexit.
Yeah, there's that line about a big
Brexit
wave.
is still a theme on this record, right?
Yeah, I think it is
in
in
as
there.
much as it's one of the sort of big political, social shifts that's taking place, and it's exposed certain latent truths that people like us didn't realise about. I mean, I didn't think that the referendum was going to go that way. No. When people talk about the complacency of the metropolitan liberal elite, that's us. So a lot of people are taking a sort of long, hard look at themselves in the UK at the moment. And anyway, it's a fucking abysmal idea, by the way. Just to clarify, it's just terrible. It's the worst thing to have happened in our lifetime for Britain. Don't go to the UK at the moment. It's not a good place to be.
You think so, really?
Yeah, shithole.
Actually, I was thinking about this because the last time we did this interview, I think you guys were playing with Muse in the bigger hall somewhere, actually the less cool hall than the Paradiso we're in now. And we were also talking about Brexit, and of course it was all new then, and we were all shocked about it. But to hear you talk now, actually, I must confess, I'm getting complacent myself because I mean, that was like 2-3 years ago. And now it's like nothing really happened, actually. Yeah, some people really stood up, like the Reds crawled out of the woodwork, but nothing really happened so far. So will the shit hit the fan, or are we being complacent and actually getting used to the fact that the world turned a worse place?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The album is about that sort of thing,
exactly.
What confusion and not knowing what's the next phase. I think the thing is, you have these quick things, which is you wake up in the morning and you hear that with the Brexit, we're leaving the EU, but then you've got the fallout from that for 10 years probably, when we're making these trade deals with different countries and massively complicated political things, you know. And the same with Trump. It's like, okay, you wake up and you go, oh God, Trump's president, fucking hell. And then what does that mean? Like, how is that going to manifest? And it's still kind of playing out, and I still haven't got a handle on it. I thought he might leave like a few months ago. He didn't. You know, I have no idea he could leave tomorrow. He could
press
do
the button tomorrow.
Yeah, or he could do like
for 8 years.
he could be there for 8 years. He could have another term. So
We all thought that about Bush as well, who now seems like a kind of cuddly
mellow
cartoon
guy.
character. Yeah.
So you can't call anything.
And he was there for 8 years.
I was actually shocked to find a quote by Obama. I read it on Twitter concerning the speech that Trump did in the UN, talking about devastating and demolishing in North Korea. And it was so balanced and well put that I was like, wow, man, this is out of time. This is not. Yeah. This is old now. Yeah. This is not the way to react anymore. This is, somebody should stand up and go like, this is fucking impossible. Yeah, the time to be polite is over.
Yeah, it's bizarre that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and this is the thing that I think I find so distasteful about sort of the modern political bent is that its nuanced thought is completely out of the question now. It's very dogmatic. It's in or out, right or wrong. And it's really easy to stoke fear and paranoia. Much harder to promote the opposite message of sort of tolerance and inclusion. I mean, even the Brexit question, one of them was a sort of proactive thing. Leave is doing something. Remain, stasis, is less attractive in lots of ways because it doesn't have that explosive quality.
Sorry, go on.
No.
Well, the Obama thing, I think it is interesting. Like, Jimmy Carter did a speech just as he was about to leave. You know, he was in that sort of that same period of like, this is what I feel about the state of the world at the moment, and it was about consumerism and the dangers of that, and all of that sort of been borne out really. But people just didn't want to hear it at the time, and they were like, hey, "This guy's a lame duck. He's useless. You know, it's that he's over." They weren't tuned into that message, and now it's actually very true. And history has kind of has shown that. But it just it depends where where the mind of the world or the country is.
It's shocking to see what you said, that the voice of reason doesn't communicate very well these days.
No, it's seen as sort of it's seen as old-fashioned. It's ludicrous, isn't it? And that the kind of hip new thing is to be sort of militantly solipsistic. It's really strange, isolationist. Anyway, I mean, you lot saw off Geert Wilders, at least for the time being, so you know that was hopeful.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens there.
I know he's not going to
be too proud about this. It's still the biggest party in Holland right now.
Really?
Yeah. Hey, let's talk some more music. A Fever Dream, one of the favorite songs of many, actually, also mine. I think it's also very rock opera.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I suppose it is, because it just goes, when it first starts, you don't really know it's going to end up where it ends up, I suppose. We love playing that as well, because it's, I suppose for people who don't know it, it's got some surprises along the way, but it's also quite repetitive and quite meditative and hypnotic. Yeah. So we're really enjoying playing that, and it sums up the record in quite a good way, in the different sides of the record.
Somebody put this again on Facebook, I think, which I thought was a good quote to sum up the album. It's like Grizzly Bear and Muse had a baby.
Ooh.
Grizzly babe. No, I don't know.
Muesli Bear.
Muesli Bear.
Muesli Bear.
Very good. There we go.
Anyone up for no Muesli Bear? Exactly. Hey, Big Game, also a song that a lot of people love, especially because of the change at like 2 minutes 30. Great track, I think.
That one actually was that riff was the first thing we had, and we had a kind of sober verse attached to it, and we were doing a kind of skittery vocal thing with the Radiohead thing, and then John was singing about the Millennium Bug over the riff as the chorus, and that was like the first baby for the album. So we massively overworked it and then just put it in the bin. And then at the 11th hour, we brought it back again and said, because I was always trying to get the big riff into other songs. And then we brought it back again and just wrote a completely different verse, which for the first time we were actually really happy with.
The first half of it happened in like a morning in the end. And it was like, oh, right. And, you know, when you've been stressing over something and go, oh, we don't want to lose this, is really good. And then you do it, as you say, you do it so much that you go, okay, well, we've lost it. We've just overcooked it. And then to be able to go, oh, no, actually, we can use that. That's, you know, once you take the pressure off yourselves. It
was mostly about finding something, the right way in which John was going to sing the verse.
Yeah.
Before we make that change into the second half of the song. In fact, there are loads of... I was kind of concerned about this while we were making it. I thought, are we doing too many of the thing that we do, where we do a kind of song of two halves? Because Fever Dream does it, Big Game does it, Ivory Tower does it. It's something we've always done. And I think because of that, we're able to get away with it. People are less conscious of it when you listen to everything, I think.
Yeah. We get frustrated with the... Well, verse chorus thing, but also middle eights. We sort of
are a discipline.
We're a bit obsessed by that kind of like. Sometimes it's great. Like I think the middle eight in Desire is really good and stuff like that. But it's that other section. It's like, how do we do that in a way that feels right and it doesn't feel forced? Because we like to move around.
Through the motions,
I think it never feels forced, the music, and that's why I think you guys are great songwriters. Because even though the music is always interesting, it's what I think pop music should be like: experimental, sounding like any pop record if you hear it for the first time. But then if you listen to it again, finding all these Easter eggs and little gems and weird tempos, actually.
Yeah, I think we naturally just like things to be changing and to jump around, but it's like it's just finding that balance of like we want to go to this different place, but it also needs to share some DNA with the rest of the song so it feels cohesive enough. And that's always the line we're trying to walk, is like keeping things surprising, but also like good songwriting. If we want, like have a solid foundation to it.
Yeah, the skeleton. Like sometimes we'd sort of ask ourselves, could you sit down and play this on a piano or on a guitar?
Yeah.
And if it did, would it stand? If you did, would it stand up? We don't always have to ask that question because sometimes the production has actually led the writing, and then that's the thing that interests us. Sort of baking it backwards in a way.
Yeah. That's why I asked you guys: are there ever acoustic versions of a song?
There are. They just haven't been documented. But we do them. We were playing one last night. We played Photoshop acoustic, which we really enjoyed yesterday, or the day before yesterday.
It was an interesting version of Duet, though, that you put there, which is kind of
just the strings, wasn't it? We just took the bass and the drums and the guitar off it and kept all the vocals and the strings. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Is that on Spotify?
I think that was I think maybe it was on the bonus edition of Arc. Yeah, so it's all up there. We haven't played that song in a while.
No.
Must have been tough live with all the strings. I don't think you do it.
We did tour it on Arc. We did play it a lot down there. I haven't really played
Hey guys, we're here in Amsterdam. I noticed you play a festival somewhere in the UK, and then there's a USA tour coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing San Francisco, LA, New York, Boston, DC. What else?
And that's your lot.
That's it.
Do you actually still remember the gigs you play? Because I mean, I saw you guys maybe play 5 times. I saw you at South by Southwest, which was cool, I think.
Oh yeah.
But then I recall you play so many gigs. Do you recall?
I don't tend to look back that much, but then when I get to, I had a vague memory of what the Paradiso was like, and then I walked in and I was like, oh yeah, and then you do remember the gig. So I quite like that sort of half memory, because I like the vagueness of it. But yeah, obviously there's photographs and things like that, but I don't tend to look at them really. And Jazz has got a really good memory, so I don't know if that's a good thing.
I used to think it was a good thing. It's not actually. It's useless hindrance.
Why?
Because it doesn't serve any purpose. I could never remember stuff to pass maths exams at school. It wasn't like that. I had to experience it. So everything that's happened to me in my life is still here. I can't get rid of it.
So what's up front? The good stuff or the bad stuff?
Yeah, all of the good stuff and the bad stuff. It's for better or for worse.
If we're trying to work out about
when
how
stuff
much
happens.
Yeah, and just how many t-shirts should we bring to sell and stuff, and Jazz will be like, well, we sold 5, this will be 7 years ago or something. Oh, okay.
Fucking Rain Man.
Hey, thanks so much for your time, guys. Oh, one more thing. I found a picture of a mug, humble with just a hint of Kanye.
That was at
in the
Liverpool
studio, was it?
Park Street
in Liverpool.
We didn't bring that. That was there, but obviously John found it.
And yes, he likes that kind of thing. He's a loose cannon when it comes to social media.
Yesterday we both had to do sort of thank you, serious posts on Instagram. Both times.
Both times. Within the same second, he'd crashed it with some. And we get told off by the label for this kind of thing because algorithmically you shouldn't post too much at the same time. It'll be like, John's made a sandwich where the bread is just a cheese and there's some bread in the middle. It's like inverted sandwich. And he'd written, the rhythm is the bass and the bass is the treble. And Wild Beasts. Did you see the Wild Beasts?
Yeah.
Hey, one more thing that I was thinking about. Would you guys ever consider recording a live album?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah,
That'd be great.
we actually haven't really talked about that, but
no, at one point we were kind of mixing some live recordings from the UK tour Get to Heaven.
we've got some stuff, but we've never consciously gone, we are recording a live album.
It always comes as an afterthought, so I think we'd need to prepare in advance, basically.
Why not record every show you do? It's not that expensive anymore.
You can do that, but I mean, without wanting to get too boringly technical about it, to do it properly, it has to be more than just taking the stems off the desk. So, if we were going to do it, we'd want to do it to quite a high standard, I think. And basically...
So multi-track.
Yeah.
Would you lose a lot of the vibe, actually, if you do that?
Well, no, I mean, that's the thing that you get automatically by just taking it straight out the back of the desk, is you get everything separated, but you don't get the vibe. So that's the thing that's difficult to capture. If you're going to make a live record, it's getting the ambience right. We do have desk recordings from a lot of the gigs, but we don't tend to use them because they don't have that feeling of being in the room, which is a hard thing to do.
Yeah. Well, you could put some mics in the room, I suppose. I've been to recordings of when bands do they're making a live album, they're making a conscious decision to make a live album, there's cameras and stuff. I do think it changes it somehow. I think if you do that for the whole tour, then obviously soon you'll forget that they're there. But if you're going, okay, we are recording at this show, then I can't help but think it changes it. So I think you have to be quite clever about
putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
So I think
if you can do the whole tour, then that's the
most
best.
live albums are actually composites as well, aren't they?
Of course.
So the Toazted live album has got tracks from a Danish festival on it, as well as the Roseland Ballroom stuff. But yeah.
Hey guys,
I love the Radiohead one. I might be wrong. That's all just from different festivals and stuff. That's a really good one.
I like Kiss Alive too, but I mean that was in the studio.
Was it?
It wasn't even live at all.
Great.
Really?
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, this is a story. I mean, they were so good live that they sold way more tickets back in the 70s than they would even sell records. And then they had this idea, well, let's put out a live album. So they recorded the whole tour, found out that they were shit live, actually. So they just kept the audience and played everything anew. With different guitar players, actually.
That suits that band
great. Yeah, it really
very
does.
well.
Yeah.
Very kind of...
Utterly dishonest.
Hey guys, thanks so much for your time. When will you come back to Europe? Because the American tour coming up, and then probably in...
It'll be next year, but
We're
not quite sure. Hopefully the first half of next year, I would hope.
Cool. Hope so.
Yep.
Thanks again.
Thank
Awesome
you.
record.
Cheers, fellas.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you.